Where would I see a record? Okay.
Okay. Good afternoon. This is one session of our NC WIDA eLearning Club. Today is March 8th, 2022. And we are going to have just a few reminders at the beginning of our session today. We have our bit.ly link to access the archives, all the information, schedule, the information about the workshops, archives, video recordings, and Google Slides, and also the sticker card that we have shared. You can make a copy of this, and then you can also download the stickers and put them on your card and share on social media if you want to. So today we have a couple of workshops that we're highlighting. We're going to talk about one that is specific to EL specialists supporting teachers of math, and also home languages in the classroom. And then we're going to hear from Mrs. Neema Shah. She's going to share her experience completing the workshop Home Languages in the Classroom, and also her personal experience as a newcomer in the US, when she arrived, what happened, and then how that has informed her practice as an educator of English learners who are also newcomers. And finally, some reminders and wrap up. So now I'm going to invite Ivana to talk about the first workshops we are going to highlight about mathematics.
All right. So with all the thousands of people we have here today, type in the chat box how many of you have actually had the chance to do the Developing Language for Learning in Mathematics. So it's probably a little bit of a small group today, but I really want to encourage you, if you work with mathematics, if you work with ELs that are working on their mathematics and sometimes they're asking for your help, I really encourage you to look at this course. We have with us today Tammy Lackey, who is one of our mathematics consultants here at NCDPI. Tammy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Glad to be here.
And we are collaborating within DPI to look at ways that we can work together more. I don't think I turned on my camera, even though I said I was going to. That ways that we can work together more to help our English learners in the mathematics classroom, and also to help our mathematics teachers understand ways that they can better work with those students. So this course is one of the ways that that can be done. So when you look at the screen, it gives you a little bit of information, and I am working off 2 screens, so you'll see me looking to the side, that this workshop is designed to support our educators K through 12. So you'll see that with most of the products that WIDA is offering us, they give us examples in both elementary and high school, so that K through 12, we can be looking at ways to work with our students. You see their little equation here on the screen. It's probably a little hard to read, but the teachers are prioritizing their mathematical discussions. They're facilitating mathematical reasoning and discourse, and they are expanding to stretch students' mathematical languages. So the teachers have an important responsibility, but we know that our students have to be engaged, and our students have to take ownership of their learning. So when our students are expressing their math ideas, not just sitting in the classroom listening to the teacher, but actually expressing their math ideas, they're talking about them, they're listening to other students, and they're writing about them, and sometimes they're even co-constructing those math ideas. That all leads to a greater development of not just language, but the mathematical reasoning. And so what we're talking about in these courses doesn't just help our English language learners, it helps all of our students to be using all 4 domains of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So you can see that the course has some guiding questions. How can engagement in math discourse also support the language development of our multilingual learners? And again, I say, how does that help with all of our students? And then what can we actually do in the classroom to make sure we're developing simultaneously the content and the language, the math reasoning and the language? So we've included for you on the slide some of the resources that come with this course. The e-learning course is available to all of our educators in K-12 public education in North Carolina. So we really want to encourage you to share this resource with educators. And here are some of the pieces that I was really excited about in this course. This course spends a lot of time talking about the conceptual understanding of mathematics. And so it's really focusing on using discourse to work through these conceptual understandings. And again, when you look at this, I'm not going to read these to you. I hope you can see them all. But when you look at the conceptual understanding and the power behind that in helping students to avoid errors and helping them to have a deeper understanding of mathematics. It's not just having conceptual understanding, but it's using it in the language. It's working with each other in the classroom. It's dialoguing. It's working things out. It's verbalizing your thought processes as you are trying to complete the mathematics work. So I think it's a very important piece of these modules is understanding how important the conceptual understanding is and how the discourse helps us work through that. So if you haven't done the course already, you'll find that there are a number of videos. You have teachers talking about their work. You see students doing their work, which is so important to helping us understand how to really apply the ELD standards. It gives you as a participant the opportunity to reflect. There are a number of handouts to support the work. I already mentioned elementary and secondary options. And again, I love that we don't just talk about what the teacher needs to do, we talk about what the student needs to do as well. It's a co-collaboration, a co-conspiracy, as we were talking about earlier. It's a way to really work together. The materials from WIDA also offer you a study group option. So if you have a group of mathematics teachers that want to get together and go through the modules, you actually have a study group guide that includes peer observation. So if I am teaching math at the high school level and I've got 3 or 4 other mathematics teachers, we might want to find the opportunity to go watch each other and see how we're doing the things that we are learning in the modules. So I just highly encourage you to participate in this. If you've already done it, I'll stop for a second to hear your feedback on the course. I can say for me as a non-mathematics instructor, I have to work a little bit harder sometimes to really apply what we're learning, but there's so much that applies to everything we do in teaching English learners. So I'll pause for a second and see if anybody wants to put something in the chat or unmute and share about your experience with this workshop. I know our group is small today. Those of you watching the recording, feel free to email us and tell us your thoughts as well. So if you haven't already done it, I do encourage you to participate. I also wanted to share with you the blended workshop that we just completed. It's called Mathematical Meaning Making, Collaborating for Equity. So there's some overlap in the material, but this gives you the opportunity through 2 75-minute webinars as well as the asynchronous modules, gives you the opportunity to really think about not just the discourse and the working on the mathematical meaning making, but how do we really want to do all this to make things equitable for our English learners in the classroom. And I can't say enough times, not just our English learners are benefiting from these strategies. So the learning outcomes for this are that our educators will recognize the characteristics of an equitable classroom. So that's a different slant than what you're looking at the e-learning modules. It's also looking at structure for supports for scaffolding to really build our students' repertoire for communicating within mathematics, and then also learning how to guide your students toward more precise mathematical language, which is very similar to what you're doing in the e-learning course. So the classroom videos here go a little bit deeper, I felt, than in the e-learning course. The application activities really allow you between webinars to go back into your own environment and apply what you're learning in the course. And there are discussion boards for you to interact with your course mates as well. So this is something that we just offered. It has a maximum of 40 participants. Again, it has 2 live webinars and I think 4 modules. And so we'll be considering whether or not to run this course again next year. I will say we've gotten very good feedback from the participants. One of the participants I had hoped would be able to join us today to share about her experience because she's actually a math facilitator in one of our larger districts. So we were very excited to see the variety of different participants, knowing that people are taking this information and going back into their districts and into their schools and really helping their teachers and their students work at a deeper way with English language learners and to be able to function in the classroom in a more equitable manner. So I've rambled on long enough about the mathematical courses. We're so excited to have Tammy with us today. As I said before, we have been talking behind the scenes about how we can continue to collaborate. We had the opportunity recently to actually join the math office hours and answer some questions and share some ways that our teachers can work with our English learners. So thank you again, Tammy, for being here and for the great collaboration at DPI. And I am going to turn it over now to, is it going to you, Zally?
Yes. Thank you. So let me start my video. Okay. So this slide, the second workshop that we are highlighting today is the home languages in the classroom. This workshop has 20 hours of completion. So we decided to split it into two parts, and today is the second part. During the club meetup in December, we started talking about these initial sections or modules number 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to talk about modules 4 to 6. So some of the guiding questions that were discussed in the workshop in these 3 first modules were specifically about how to use home languages as a pedagogical tool that allows the students to access the content, to challenge the content and ideas, and increase their motivation as they make connections with their home languages and their cultures and what they're learning in their school. So these initial modules also included information about the bilingual brain, and they talk about in the workshop about how it can be used to support the other language. So the students' prior knowledge in their language, and if they have, for example, practice retelling, explaining, then they have those skills already in their language, and then those skills transfer to the language they're learning. In this case of our multilingual learners or English learners, English. So that's something really powerful, and there are many readings during the workshop that you can explore and look and see how you can help your students and parents see those connections. And then on module 3, there were some readings and activities, again, about, if we click, and thank you. They were talking about the students' linguistic repertoires, and it's, again, using everything that the students already know and bring that knowledge to the classroom to help them make those connections. So in the graph, you can see that we're talking about the language that the kids use to talk in the playground, when they're in the different content areas, social studies, the language of math, the language of language arts, the language they use at home, and how they decide to talk to, because we have some students that are in bilingual households and they, for example, speak to one parent in one language and then they communicate with the other parent in another language when they have these possibilities, or with their older siblings, they also have that opportunity to have that switch and be able to practice the language also at home and then build on what they are having as their home language. So these are really cool readings and very easy. It's long because it gives you a lot of examples, and there are some videos in which you can see teachers talking about these. There are some other videos with students talking about that experience as well. So we click one more time. They'll see, they talk about the importance of input and output. So the student, everything they learn, and they talk about creating activities in your classroom and modifying a little bit your routines in the classroom so the students get used to using their home languages for different activities. And it's say, for example, if you, and we have talked about translanguaging before, and it's how the students have that opportunity to show what they know using the other language, not just translating, but showing the content and what they know in the other language. So it's pretty neat to see that, and the examples they provide about the receptive and productive domains and how those are related to the other 4 language domains: listening, speaking, reading, and writing, and how we can build that translanguaging from those input and output. So there are 2, if we click one more time, And this is something really important for those of you who join our sessions, but you don't have access, for whatever reason you don't have access to the workshop, or you have not started the workshop. We always share some of those resources that are public, so you can still have some of the information and look and be able to access that. So these are two of the resources we can share. And one is it's an article from James Cummins, and then the other one is the 6 steps of Marzano when teaching vocabulary instruction, and it gives the different steps and how we can incorporate the home language into some of those steps to use it. So you can explore that. And to finish, before we go to our guest speaker, on the next slide, we talk about modules 4 to 6. And these modules, the first one, we're focusing on the activities that we can implement or include in the routines to help the students. But these other modules talk more about how can we help the students see the value in their home languages and see that, learn that their bilingual brain is precious. And I really love how they put it in the different examples, because they were saying, how can we encourage the students to use the home language, to see the value of doing it. And if we click again, there is a quote in one of the readings that they have. And I just love the quote because it says, I wish I had been aware of some of my thinking process earlier in life rather than at the end of my education. If I had known, the awareness would have alleviated some of the situations I experienced in classes when I questioned my ability to think, reason, and learn. And that's what happens sometimes. The kids don't know how to express what they know. They might know the content, but they don't have enough vocabulary to express that and demonstrate their knowledge. And they feel frustrated and they feel like, maybe I'm not intelligent, maybe I can learn. And when we help them understand there are other ways to show that they understand the content, that they have mastered the content, then they feel like, okay, I can do this. And then they feel motivated. And I really love that, because we try to give them all the resources, but we don't intentionally make them aware that they have another language they can use, and that is another power. And we always talk about our students as they have this superpower of being bilingual, and some of them multilinguals. So it's how we can help the students and also their families, because they might feel like, oh, I don't speak English, which is the dominant language, so I shouldn't go to school, I shouldn't be involved. But then when the school creates those opportunities and we see how our schools have all these family engagement activities, then they feel like, okay, I can be part of it, and my culture and my language are being valued there. So we really love that. And again, we're going to share 2 resources that are public from the self-paced workshops in case you don't have access. And one is the language-focused family engagement. This gives some details of how you can help families understand their language is valuable, and they can help their students, their child, learn more if they can practice language all the time. Just going to the grocery store and helping mom with the list and reading some of the labels in the products, that is helping the kid develop those language skills. And sometimes the parents don't know, so it's important to make it a little more conscious of that. And then the other resource is, this is a lot, Larry Ferlazo's article lists the best resources for learning the advantages to being bilingual or multilingual. And once you click there, you're going to go crazy, because he lists so many resources that it's sometimes hard and easy to get lost. But I would really recommend to read some of those, and then you get some ideas on how to support this population. And then now, one more click, and I'm going to now tell you that we have our educator from North Carolina in the northeast region of the state, and she's going to share a little more about this workshop. So she has titled her presentation, Home Languages in the ESL Classroom. And Neema, or Mrs. Neema Shah, is an ESL teacher in Wilson County Schools, and she has taught English as a foreign language in India before coming to the US in 2007. And she has also experience as an IELTS coach. And she has a master's, she holds a master's in TESOL, teaching English to students, to speakers of other languages. And she's going to talk to us and give us some more information about her process, her personal experiences, and some ideas of how we can implement these resources in the workshop. So I turn it to you, Neema.
Thank you, Ms.
I was going to
Talks.
jump in and ask you guys to please stay muted when you're not talking because we're getting a lot of feedback. So some of you have been muting throughout the episode, so all of us will just stay muted so we can hear Neema clearly. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Talks, for the introduction, but I'm Miss Neema Shah, not Mrs. So just wanted to clarify that. Okay, so I plan to make this session very interactive, but I guess we'll have to just breeze through because we don't have many participants. But please be free to stop me, jump in with your ideas, thoughts, and that way we can interact. So why is learning another language very important? Research show that whenever students come into our classroom with various languages, when we have a diverse population, and they use their own native language, the language which is known as L1 in our academic books, and research shows that when you use that language and try to learn English, it improves the the students' capabilities to comprehend the text. And there's a short, I don't see that video here, Ms. Talks.
Oh, there it comes.
Okay, we can just stop before. Okay, so this is just a little small video which I found on the British Council website. So it is not only the teachers who want a diverse population in their classroom, but even students themselves want to learn a whole lot of new languages. So this, it could be for various reasons. So this is a short clipping, and I would love Ms. Talks to just click on that play button. And this is a school in London.
Can you hear it?
No, we don't have audio.
What do I need to do to set the audio to play?
Oh, we don't have audio?
If I turn it up loud, will it play through my speakers, or is there a way for me to? Is there something I need to set differently?
I think the fastest way would be that if you unplug your headset, that will work. I'm gonna share the link in the video just in case.
Okay, so let me turn my volume up and let me know if this works.
No, there is no audio.
Okay.
Can we copy paste that link? Will that work?
Yeah, we have the video in the chat, but it's not, the audio is not working. So maybe what we can do, if you tell us what the video is about, I have shared the link in the chat. So
Okay.
our participants can have the link anyway.
Yes. So the video is about different, these are various students with different languages in the same classroom, and they want to learn different, a friend's language. Like somebody said, oh, my neighbor is an Arabic, and I would like to learn Arabic because they speak a language and I don't understand. So now when I converse, they have very limited English, and I do not know Arabic, but if I learn Arabic, then I can converse with them and we can be friends. So, there are this is just one example in the video. There are various reasons why students want to learn different languages. So they are equally interested in learning different languages. And, in a classroom, it's very important for the teacher to acknowledge the native language of the student, because the student feels welcome. The student is more participative, and he feels he's wanted, and he's not going to be a backbencher and be quiet. He's going to participate if you welcome that student. And I've had that experience when I was in, I think it was the middle school, and we had Chinese students coming in. And that middle school is a very rural area, and they did not have anybody else but Americans and Hispanics. So for them to have a Chinese, there were twins coming in the 8th grade, brother and sister. So the entire school was excited. and the entire 8th grade was prepared to welcome them. And they only spoke Chinese. But in no time, they started picking up the language because the other students in the class were more than happy to help them. So it was like, they were part of the class, part of the school, like in no time. So they performed so well because of that acceptance by the others in the, by not only the classmates, but even the other staff in the school, and not even the other grade level teachers who were not in the who were not teaching the 8th grade classes, but they were in the 6th and the 7th grades, but they also welcomed them. So it's very important to welcome these students, and that is how they start progressing in their academics. If you accept them socially, I think academics improve. What do you all feel? I mean, there any thoughts? Hello?
Yes. Yes.
I agree with you. Yeah,
I
I
agree.
agree with you.
So I don't know if you all, anybody, I don't know if the other two participants are there or not. And they start interpreting for the family. There was this one student I had in the 3rd grade. We felt he was very shy, and he did not participate much, but he was comprehending a lot. So once they went to the store, and in his little broken English, he helped helped his parents in the store talking to the cashier. And the next day, he was a new boy because he had that confidence in him. So, getting another language and then learning English and having the balance of both the languages is it is very crucial, and it helps the student. Can we go to the next? Okay, these are some of the strategies I use in the classroom, like multilingual input and output. I have shared some websites with the teachers, and they love it, and students love it, and they are really working on it. And in classes, we have the greetings are done in various languages. So when the student comes in, we know, okay, he's now, for example, we have a new Arabic student in a 4th grade class, and there's no other Arabic, but the teacher worked on it, and she had greetings on the wall on a poster, and it was very welcoming for the student. And then we are also helping him with vocabulary in Arabic and English. So that those kind of strategies we are using in our classroom. Then of course the graphic organizers and visuals is helping them, helping the student to learn better. He's just in the 2nd week of school in this country, but he has really picked up a lot. And this is I did the entire module, and this is just a gist of it. And there are the strategies in the module are content across contents and across grade levels. So you have to see what fits in your classroom, how it works for you. You can tweak the strategy as per the requirement. But these strategies are, they can be really used for every classroom. And they can be used not only in the ESL classroom, but even in the regular classroom. So can we click on this? No, the earlier one, Miss Docs. And I like this quote is my favorite. If a child can't learn the way we teach, maybe we should teach the way he learns. So we have to keep changing our strategies, and according to the student and what his comprehension skills are, and how much of English he knows, and looking into many other factors, we have to really change our teaching methodology. So there are basically 5 modules, and each one has a ton of strategies. I mean, if we go through all that in detail, we'll be here forever. So these are some vocabulary routines, input output strategies, and warm up strategies. So you can work on any of these, and all of them are really useful for the students. And it's going to, I've used some of them. And the common strand in all these strategies are visuals. They need a lot of videos and visuals for them to comprehend the text.
You want me to go back to the other PowerPoint or stay on this one?
No, you can just breeze through these, just one by one. And especially the one Miss Talks talked about Marzano's steps of better vocabulary instruction. Yeah, this is all related to vocabulary. And yeah, again, visuals, vocabulary, and then there's a lot of family involvement you can have. It's not only the student, but even you can involve the family as a whole, and that helps too. And there's a connection between the school and the family.
I think slide 9 is the one with
Yeah, this
the
one.
steps.
These are the 6 steps of vocabulary instruction. So when you get the time, you can just look over, and it is amazing. I've highlighted some of the things, but you can just look over and follow the steps. So these are, what I have done is I've just simplified the language. I've taken a lot, of course, from the module I've done, but I've just simplified the language and made it little a friendly language for us to comprehend it better. And there are some of the websites where, for the lower elementary, they have storybooks. So it is in English, and you can get it translated into any language. There are tons of languages there. So that helps a lot. When they listen, it helps for them to comprehend the text. These two. So these are basically all the strategies, and we are just breezing through. Each one can be tweaked. Each can, I mean, you don't have to use all, but you can use whatever you can and you want to in your classroom, depending on how many students you have, what languages you have, and what kind of, how diverse is your population in the classroom. So if anybody else has anything to add to this, if you have used any particular strategy from here, or if you've added, you use something very different, then list it. You can let the group know or put it in the chat.
Thank you, Neema. I really love how you just took some of those strategies from the workshop and listed them, because I know you're excited about using them.
Oh, yes.
And so these first on the slide are the ones you have been using with your students?
Yes. These are the common ones I'm using. But I'm really looking into those other slides and looking into the various strategies, because I've learned something new. I never knew, those kind of strategies we could use. And I've learned a lot from that module. So I plan to, implement. Now, it may happen that the first time it may not work. It may have, it may not work at all. Or I may have to, change it, tweak it according to my group. But I plan to look into some of the other strategies. And incidentally, I have 2 newcomers in one of my schools. So I guess I'm going to experiment.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you, Ivana, for navigating through all those slides.
Okay, this is my personal experience, and I just wanted to, we were just talking. I was Miss Talks and I were talking. We were just talking about the Indian schools and the U.S. schools. Now, these are some characteristics of Indian schools. Public schools are not so much preferred in India because they are not very well maintained and they don't have that high level of education. It's more of private schools which are preferred. All schools have uniforms, unlike here. And here there is concept-based teaching versus India, where it is more of memorizing. In the sense, here, if you teach a concept and then you can give them a passage, or if it is math, you give them a problem and they should be able to solve it. But in India, it is like, okay, you have a textbook for every subject. So you have, for this particular test, we have chapters 1 to 5. You have to remember everything what happens in that 1 to 5 chapters. And anything can be asked. There can be question answers, they can be fill in the blanks, they can be who said to whom, and a lot of different kind of questions. So it's more of memorizing versus concept teaching. Then ranks, what I mean by ranks is here we get grades in our report cards, A, B, C, D, F. There you, whatever your test score is, they would give you a percentage and then you're ranked. Say you have 50 students in your class, then you can be a first ranker or the 50th ranker. So that is how our report card looks. And then students in the school are in the same class every day. Here also they are, but then in the elementary you have the homeroom teacher, with the students all day. But there we do not have. Even if it is first grade, we have a different teacher for every subject. So a math teacher will teach for 35 or 40 minutes. The bell will ring, she will go, and there'll be maybe a history teacher will come in. So it goes on, and we usually have our school from say 9 to 4:30. So that is how our school routine is. And then we have a lunch break for about maybe 40-45 minutes. And then we have two short breaks, one at around in the morning and one in the afternoon after lunch. They are for about 10 minutes. So that is how our school day is. And then we have minimal paperwork. The only paperwork we do is grading papers and report cards. That's it. And here we all know what paperwork we do. It's tons of it. And private schools are extremely, expensive, and public schools are either free or it is very little, very nominal charged. More students per classroom, because that's our population. So we have more students per classroom, even in a private school. We have too many books because we split up. Like if you say math, there's one book for algebra, one book for geometry. If you say science, there's one for physics, one for chemistry, one for biology. So it's all split up. So every subject has a book and a textbook. So we carry too many books. And the main difference is we have K-10, kindergarten to 10th grade in one building, and then you have 11th, 12th, and the rest of the 3 years of college in the other building. That is called college. So we have 15 years of education versus in the US where you have 16 years of education. So why I put my personal experience in this slide is that even as an adult, when I came into this country in 2007, I was in like, wow, what a difference. I'm in a whole new country. I'm in a whole new educational system. So, but I got tremendous support from my, the staff in all my schools. I was split up between 3 schools. Didn't have a car, and people were helping me with driving. Driving me to school and bringing me home. So all that was so challenging. And so I was into a whole new world. So as an adult, when I was feeling overwhelmed, and so we can just imagine when kids come in, we leave our family, friends behind, and you come into a whole new environment. So imagine a kid coming into your classroom with a whole new, a whole different background, where he doesn't know what is school here in the US, and he comes with a different language and from a very different setting. So it's so important to really, get that student in our fold, I should say. And that really helps the student not only socially, but academically too. So that is how my personal experience is till now. That I'm really, and that because I was accepted, because I got all that help, I really progressed. And I felt that, yes, I'm wanted. And I feel year after year, I have progressed. So that is the way I see my students too, because they come, from different countries with different languages. So I can really see them struggling, and I know what it is. They have different struggles. I had different struggles, but somewhere there's a common thread that we are from different countries, and we have to really adapt to the new culture and the new education system and the country as whole. So that's it from my side.
Thank you, Neema. Such a wonderful experience sharing about this. Because, yeah, you're right. We need to help the students feel welcomed and also know that what they bring into the classroom is valued and will help them succeed and learn as they start getting used to the new system, the new culture. So thank you very much for sharing your process as you completed the workshop and also your personal experience. So this is our last slide. Just a reminder that our next session is on April the 12th at 4:30 p.m. And if you join later or you're watching the recording, you can access the bit.ly NC WIDA eLearning Club, and you can see all the archives, the Google slides, the presentation, and also the video recording and the resources that we share and our guest speakers share during the sessions. Also, if you want to learn about the workshops, you want to see the descriptions and register for the next sessions, you have that as well in this slide deck. So let's see if we have any comments in the chat. Anything else you want to share about math? Ivana, invite our viewers, our attendees to complete those workshops.
Yeah, I would just continue to invite. There was a comment in the chat. I saw it pop up. If you're able to see the chat box, that was one of our participants. I believe it was Miriam sharing a little bit about what she does. Are you able to pull that up?
Yes, I see it. She said,
Great.
and this is for Neema. Thank you, Ivana. It says, I have always used tons of visuals with my L students. I can't imagine teaching ESL without the use of visual aids. So yeah, we all are visual communicators, visual learners, so it's always important to have that additional support to give the message. Thank you. Okay, so I think I'm going to stop the recording.